Imagine an art piece that isn't about art at all, but about the idea behind it. Sounds crazy? This is the essence of the conceptual art. A movement that began in the 1960s and took the radical step of saying that the concept rather than the finished product was the true work of art. Artists like Sol LeWitt, Joseph Kosuth, and Yoko Ono challenged traditional ideas of what art could be, focusing on the process, the instructions, or the idea rather than the object itself. The key features include: the idea is the art itself, text and language as art, performance and instruction, challenging the art market, and documentation as art. In conceptual art, the concept takes precedence over the physical form. Joseph Kosuth, 1 and 3 Chairs, 1965, is a perfect example. It consists of a chair, a photograph of the chair, and a dictionary defining of the word chair. The artwork isn't the chair itself, but the idea of what a chair is. Pretty fascinating, isn't it? Many conceptual artists used text and language as their medium. Sol LeWitt, Sentences on Conceptual Art, 1969, is a written manifesto outlining the principles of conceptual art. LeWitt's actual artwork often consisted of instructions for others to follow, emphasizing the process over the product. Some conceptual art pieces involved performance or instructions for the audience. Yoko Ono's Cut Piece, 1964, for example, invited audience members to cut pieces of her clothing, turning the act of participation into the artwork itself. The art wasn't the object, it was the interaction and the experience. In a way, you could become an artist yourself or a piece of art. Conceptual art often questions the commercial nature of the artwork. By emphasizing ideas over objects, it undermined the traditional art market, where the value of the art was tied to the object's rarity or craftsmanship. Conceptual artists like Hans Haacke challenged the commodification of art by creating works that were difficult or impossible to sell. Since many conceptual pieces were temporary or based on performance, documentation became an essential part of the artwork. Photographs, videos, and written instructions were often the only evidence that an artwork existed. Vito Annocini, Following Piece, 1969, where he followed random people through the streets of New York, exists primarily as a series of photographs documenting the performance. And while minimalism focused on form and space, conceptual art shifted the focus entirely to the idea. Minimalism asked you to engage with the object, but conceptual art asked you to engage with the concept behind the object, or sometimes with an artist or no object at all. Conceptual art changed the definition of art itself. It questioned the role of the artist, the value of the object, and the relationship between art and the ideas. This movement paved the way for many contemporary practices, where artists often blur the lines between activism and philosophy. So conceptual art, a movement that made us think what art could be, where the idea was king and the object was secondary.